Bro, I promise you, you don't like your house that much. You are just afraid of the outside world. You are afraid of the judgment and the perception of people. In this video, I'm going to be giving you 3 basic ways you can stop the loop in your head and change the stories that you tell yourself. Someone said that nothing is good or bad, only thinking makes it so. Ask yourself, what are the things you have told yourself that are good or bad? What are the stories you have told yourself about the things that have happened to you? What labels have you given to aspects of your life that may not have turned out the way you wanted, or aspects of your life that turned out exactly how you wanted, or even better than you imagined? What stories have you told yourself about that? Now, we don't just make up stories, yeah? Stories come from the template that was built in our minds from the day we were born. The first 8 years of a child's life, the child is in a state that is scientifically called theta state, in a dreamlike state. So in that state, they are not in the position to make informed decisions on anything that is happening in their lives. They are just taking in information, processing it, and using it as a code from which they will judge every other thing that will happen in their lives as they go forward in life. So it doesn't really matter what the truth of the situation is. The only thing that matters is that this is how it looks to them, and they are going to assimilate that and internalize that and use that as a basis to judge all their experiences going forward. So a lot of us have had different kinds of templates that we assimilated or we took in as children. And so every other thing that happens in our lives as we grow now takes on the shadow or the form of those things. Let me give you an example. Say, as a child, you never really had the attention of your parents, and they always spaced out when you needed their attention, or they were never really present with you. Probably gave you the impression that you were not worth listening to. And so you either had to act out or to completely zone out to save yourself the pain of the lack of attunement that you suffered. For people like you, when you grow up, it becomes a problem when you can't keep the attention of people. You never really think and say, okay, maybe this person is busy, or maybe this person is distracted because something is happening with this person. The story that you will always tell yourself in your head is, oh, this person doesn't care about me. It's happening again. The world is just against me, or I'm not worth listening to. Maybe I'm just not that great. Maybe I'm just not that important for someone else to listen to me. You see, it didn't just start there. It's a series of events that have repeated again and again and again. And it's not just that the situations are all connected. It is the story that connects the situations. And so one person may not listen to you because he or she is busy. Another person may not listen to you because he's probably not just interested in what you're saying. Some other person may not listen to you because they are distracted because of the problems going on in their lives. But you tell yourself the same story across board. Why? Because of the templates that you received when you were a child. So, of course, nothing that happens to us as children is our fault. The world happens to people. It breaks the strongest of people, and it's just not fair. It cushions some and it breaks some. However, the choices you make in your adulthood are completely your responsibility. So I want to challenge you today to change the stories, or at least to notice the stories that you tell yourself in your head and really question them. It becomes very important as adults for us not just to take the world as it comes, but really function from an adult mind and to see the world beyond the templates that we received as children. As you grow up, your frontal lobe is being more and more developed. It gives you more cognitive ability. It gives you the ability to be more objective than emotional. It gives you the ability to see a situation from different perspectives. So you really want to take that and hone in the skill of changing the narratives going on in your head about situations that are happening in your life. Changing the stories that we tell ourselves essentially changes the trajectory of our lives. What are some stories we tell ourselves, and what are the results of these stories? The child who constantly lives with invalidation will see concerns as accusations. when people approach you with concerns as to the way you treat them, or as to the way you behave, or even concerning your life generally, instead of seeing it as a genuine concern that you should look into or maybe explain, you see it as an accusation. This is because you have been invalidated all your life, and so the story you tell yourself is, these people think I am not good enough, or these people are trying to put me in a bad light. That is just a loop that is going on in your head. The child who had to people please to survive will see everything as a must do. They will always feel like they're overcompensating, and they always have to extend themselves just to make others comfortable. They see everything as compulsion. You ask for help for a people pleaser, it sounds like a command to them. They will constantly feel taken advantage of. The child who was invalidated will feel there is something innately wrong with them. Have you been using the random things that are happening in your life to reinforce the beliefs you were programmed to have in your childhood? Ask yourself what those beliefs are and how they affect your life right now as an adult. You must come to the understanding that you are an adult now, and those thought patterns and coping mechanisms, while they may have been your safest way of getting by in your childhood, no longer serve you in your adulthood. In actual fact, they are sabotaging your life. Maybe you run away from social settings because you were ostracized as a child. Maybe you were laughed at for your quirks and for your differences. I was laughed at a lot. I was told I was too emotional, too tall, too everything. And so in order to feel safe, my safest place was always away from the crowd. For the longest time, I had panic attacks whenever I had to deal with the crowd. I mean, it was never a problem for me to stand in front of the crowd. I have always been something of a virtuoso. So speaking in front of the crowd, singing in front of the crowd, preaching in front of the crowd, kind of my thing. I always thrived when I had things to do in front of the crowd. However, to be in the midst of the crowd, I could never thrive there. So I always isolated in a reject them before they reject you type of way. This could lead to sabotaging behaviors like unwillingness to connect and network, which definitely would not do well for you career-wise and relationship-wise. Bro, I promise you, you don't like your house that much. You are just afraid of the outside world. You are afraid of the judgment and the perception of people. Maybe you were treated unfairly as a child, blamed for other people's wrongdoings and even punished for it. And so the residual anger that you have inside of you has made you into a contentious person. Every little conversation easily becomes an argument, and you're always found having an angst with some person or the other. Your justice sensitivity is at an all-time high, and you make every conversation into a battle you have to win. Not very good, you see. When you change the stories that you tell yourself, you can heal your life. In this video, I'm going to be giving you 3 basic ways you can stop the loop in your head and change the stories that you tell yourself. The first one is affirmations. Affirmations are basically statements that you tell yourself. I'm going to go straight to the point here. Look at your life, look at the stories you have been telling yourself. You will need to do some introspection and realize the patterns that are recurring in your life and the stories you have constantly told yourself about them. Even in areas that you have made them into your personality. For example, I am not a people person. Love is just not for me. I am just not relationship material. I am just not smart. I am just not made for success. Those kind of stories that we have made into our identities. Look at these stories and then create affirmations that are in opposite direction to those stories. For example, say you've been made to feel like you are not smart. You have to make affirmations like, I am intelligent, I am smart, I am capable of learning. Make a list of these affirmations and say them to yourselves over and over again until it begins to feel like the truth. Now, this is where it gets sketchy. You have to feel it. You cannot just say them in an offhanded sort of way and, just let me just say it for saying sake. You really have to embody it. You really have to feel it like it is true, even though it has not yet played out in your reality. Go to your journal, go to your notes on your phone, make a list of these affirmations, repeat them daily, and make use of them whenever you get triggered. The next one is to run towards your fears. I know that's scary, but this is the only solution. Run towards your fears. If you have problems connecting with people, make it a project. Be very deliberate about it. Put it on your to-do list that every day when you go out, you have to talk to a stranger. You have to approach a stranger and talk to the person, especially if you're someone like me who works in social settings a lot. A little hi will not kill you. A little what's your name, where you're from, the most banal of conversations. It doesn't have to be anything too deep or intense, but you will make the efforts to consistently try at the very least to connect with people. Over time, you will notice that people will respond to you differently, and those responses will reshape the thoughts that you think and the stories that you tell yourself. You now begin to believe more in the fact that you are pleasant, you are good to relate with, you are worthy of attention, you will no longer be afraid of being perceived. So run towards your fears. If you are a contentious person, whenever you feel yourself getting into a heated conversation, take a deep breath, take a step back, remind yourself that there are no winners here. Ask questions instead of making assertions. That way the other person doesn't feel like you're trying to one-up them or you're trying to win a sort of game. Aim to connect instead of to win. Aim to connect and reach a consensus or agree to disagree instead of aiming to win at all times. You will be surprised that people are more willing to have conversations with you. You will be surprised that people are more willing to connect with you and to share their experiences and their side with you if you have a more welcoming aura, because now you have changed the stories that you tell yourself. You're telling yourself, this is not a game, this is a connection point, so I'm supposed to find the things that connect us rather than the things that separate us or makes one person better than the other. Finally, self-regulate. We are not always going to be caught aware when life triggers us, but your ability to self-regulate will always be a nice save. It is always important to stop and take a breath and reassess the situation so that you can respond instead of react. Now, if you want me to make a full video about ways that you can self-regulate when you are triggered, smack in the middle of the moment, you don't have to retreat and take 5 minutes, but right in the middle of the moment when you are triggered, to learn to self-regulate, please drop a comment. I get 5 comments, I'm going to drop a video on self-regulation. Our thoughts create our reality. So if you want to fix your reality, you are going to have to fix what is going on up here. So if you enjoyed this video and you want more videos like this, please consider subscribing to this channel. Also follow me on Instagram at EuniceJosie. Turn on your post notifications because we're going to have more like this coming your way. Thank you so much for watching. Till I come your way again, peace.